Guys, we are going to hop in and knock out our study sesh here on Tuesday night. Looking forward to a good session with you guys tonight. For those of you who can, throw those cameras on. It's always more fun to talk to you than talk to myself. And then for starters tonight, I would I'd love to just get, obviously, as we always do, put in what sections you want to cover, what things you want to focus on. But then is there anything, I know sometimes the questions don't really turn up what it is that you are looking for. So if there's any specific subject matter, like, oh, you know, the 5 elements to make a contract, or the 5 obligations for a client, you know, things like that, that we can work through a section. If those don't come up, I want to make sure I get them to cover for you. So go ahead and hop into the chat and let me know what you're looking for. Make sure you put some stuff in the chat, guys. I'm going to need to know what to cover for you, what to knock out. All right, real estate calculations, contracts, title theory, lien theory, principles of agency. All right. Let's start with you know, financing is always one that I feel like trips people up quite a bit. Makes people nervous because it's math, right? So let's start there. And we'll work through these 10 questions. So pen, paper, calculator handy. Because there's a couple math questions in here, and there's going to be a couple things like this, which disclosure is not required by Regulation Z of the Truth in Lending Act? Is it A, the appraisal fee, B, the loan origination fee, C, the total monthly payment, or D, the amount of interest to be paid? Which one of these does truth in lending not require? A, the appraisal fee is correct. The fee that an appraiser charges is not a bank charge. So this is an appraiser's, you know, this is an appraiser charge. If you bought a house, you're getting billed separately for the appraiser. The bank doesn't charge for the appraisal and then book it. They So this is not required to be disclosed. All the other items are required per truth in lending. Sorry. Question number 2, an owner is building a fence on 3 sides of his property. If the fence will go from the frontage, the depth of the lot, across along the back of the lot, go from the frontage to the depth of the lot and along the back of the lot, how many linear feet of fencing would you need for to fence sides of a lot that is 200 by 180? Is it A, 560, B, 400, C, 720, or D, 580? All right, I'm seeing a D and an A, a D and an A. So what is, what do we think is the, what are we thinking here, guys? Because, this is a weird one to show up in financing, but, there's a math element to it. We got A's. So this is a little bit of a weird question. So if the fence will go from the frontage to the depth of the lot and along the back of the lot, how many linear feet? So they don't really make it easy for us to know which 3 sides. So it's either going to be 560 or 580, right? It's either the front and the back and one side, or both sides and the back. I think I'm reading this, from the frontage to the depth and along the back is both of the sides and across the back. So that would be 180, 180, 200, Samantha's answer. So let's see if A works out. And that's correct. So again, guys, the math is really easy here. In the sense that this is a, it's a simple addition problem, but really reading the wording correctly is important. Question number 3, if the price of carpeting is $19 per square yard, how much would it cost to carpet a room that is 15 by 15 in feet? All right, so we have everybody in for C. Who wants to explain their answer? Nation here before I can move forward, because maybe I got a different answer. And you can, guys, feel free to unmute if that's easier than type. And I know some people are on their phones. All right, so Samantha has 15 feet by 15 feet equals 225 square feet times 19. And Jess Varnes coming in to save the day is when you're looking at this. Now, again, really simple, straightforward math, right? But it's not, because your costs are per square yard and your room is in feet. So there's two ways to do it, right? As Jess said, you can divide that total square footage by 9, or you could just say there's 5 yards in 15 feet and 5 yards in 15 feet, and then do 25. So 5 times 5 is 25 times square yards times 19 is 475. So, for those of you who are nervous about math, you're struggling with the test, you're preparing, you maybe taking the test once, these are the ones that you can't, right? And yeah, the questions on the test might have more words and they might be tucked in there, but that makes it even more important to be really careful about the way that you approach these. So take your time and make sure anytime you're dividing or multiplying, subtracting, everything's got to be in the same unit, right? So yards per square yards and square yards, feet and feet, inches and inches, etc. How many acres are in a parcel of 400 by 800? We're going to assume that this is feet. 7.35, 8.15, 5, or 10. All right. All of the A's are in the chat box. So let's go ahead and take a look and see if A is what is going on. And that is correct. So we simply multiply the 400 by 800 to get to 320,000 square feet, and then divide that by 43,560. As you know, no matter what, you are going to be in a position to need to know that it's 43,560 square feet in an acre, right? Whether you get it asked it directly or a roundabout way, you're going to need to know it for the exam. Question number 5. The rate of mills for Columbus is 97, and the assessment level for the community is 35%. For a property with a value of $280,000, what would the annual taxes be? A 21,160, B 9,506, C 6,500, or D 12,000. Which one of these is going to be the best path, or that what is going to be your required answer? All right, we've got a couple B's in the chat. We'll go with that, and that is going to be correct. So let's work through how this problem comes together. One, you got the value of the home is 280,000, but when you see assessment level or assessment rate or anything related to assessment, you're going to be multiplying that by the value, right? So the assessed value of the property is the assessment rate times the value. You can also hear it called an equalization factor and a couple other things, but what that is you just multiply those together and this gets you the assessed value, which is 98,000. Now, when you see mills, you know you're going to be dividing the assessed value by 1,000, right? The mill is, it's 1/1000th. So you divide by that and that gives you 98. So the value of a mill is $98. And so then they're not the rate of mills is 97. So 97 times 98 is 9506. Question number 6. Which class is protected under the Equal Credit Opportunity Act, but is not protected under the Federal Fair Housing Act? A, sex, B, marital status, C, familial status, or D, race. All right, everyone's got B in the chat, and that's correct. Well, all of these are protected classes under the Equal Credit Opportunity Act. The Federal Fair Housing Act doesn't protect against discrimination based on marital status. Gray purchases a home from Black. Gray will pay $700 a month and a balloon payment, and title transfer will take place in 5 years. This is A, a purchase money mortgage, B, an amortized loan, C, a blanket mortgage, or D, a contract for deed. You got a B, a C, and a D. All right, we got more D's than anything else, and that is correct. A land contract or contract for deed is a purchase in which the title transfer takes place when the entire purchase price has been fulfilled. And that's what's taken place in this case. That's your trigger for land contract or contract for deed. The trick here is that it's not a balloon loan. It's not, it is an amortized loan, but that's not the, neither of those are really the factors here with respect to the fact that it's a contract for deed, because when the title transfer takes place. If it was a mortgage of any kind, the title transfer would take place at the beginning, and then that title would be mortgaged back to secure the loan. Question number 8. Miss Kelly sold her property herself and has agreed to finance the property. According to Truth in Lending, Miss Kelly must reveal A, all the financing fees, B, nothing, C, the discount points, or D, the APR. What must they what must they do? Disclose. The B's have it. Because this is a seller doing a purchase money mortgage, the Truth in Lending Act does not apply. This is not a lending official. So pricing, APR fees, financing fees, discount points, those things do not need to be disclosed. Question number 9. A bank notifies a homeowner that she is delinquent on her mortgage and threatens foreclosure. The homeowner offers to give the property to the bank if the bank will not file foreclosure against her. This process is known as A, a deficiency judgment, B, a quitclaim deed, C, a deed of trust, or D, a deed in lieu of foreclosure. Oops. Sorry, guys, I accidentally hit one of my other windows. D, deed in lieu of foreclosure is correct. So to avoid any foreclosing proceedings, you can forfeit the deed to the mortgagee. Question number 10. George has been turned down by 3 lenders and finds one that will make a loan if he will pay 2% more interest than the statutory limit. This lender is guilty of A, violating the Fair Credit Reporting Act, B, usury, C, impressing the boss, or D, violating RESPA. Yeah, B, this is usury through and through. A lender who charges more than the statutory limit is guilty of usury. All right, let's stay with math tonight. Real estate calculations was one that Hassan wanted. Real estate calculations. All right, question number 1. Joe and Mary want to add a recreation room to their recreation room. Their 1-story garage together covers 1,600 square feet of their 75-foot by 110-foot lot. If the local zoning limits building sizes to 25% of the land lot, what's the maximum floor area, the footage that Joe and Mary can add to their home? A, 825, B, 462.5, C, 2,063, or D, 400. A lot of fast B's in here. I feel like you guys have been working the CompuCram and you just know that's the answer. Now, that is correct. This is a two-part problem. First, what's the total square footage of the lot? 75 times 110. And then what's 25% of that? So times 0.25. And then what's already used up minus the 1600. And then boom, 462 and a half. Question number 2, a property buyer paid $25 per front foot for a lot that was 600 by 1425. How many acres did they buy? Bum, bum, bum. How many acres in a lot that's 600 by 1425? Or 1452, 600 by 1452. B is correct, 20. So simple multiply then divide. 600 times 1452 divided by 43,560. That's the magic number that you need to know again. All right, big wordy one here. Bill was thinking of purchasing an apartment building. He wants a 10% return on his investment. There are 4 apartments on each floor of a 3-story building. Apartments rent for $400 each floor, and rent increases $50 per month per apartment per floor. Bill noticed the loss of rents at 8%, and then he figured the operating expenses to be $610 a month. With all this information, what's the most Bill should pay to get a 10% rate of return? So this is pretty much a lot of the real estate calculations that you'll need to know, all wrapped up in one. So let's go ahead and work through. We'll go ahead and work through this one. Let's see what you guys get. This is a 4-step problem, but you get to use a lot of the real estate calculations inside of the IRV method. And if you have no idea what to do here, you're lost, you don't know what your next steps are, go ahead and let me know. Question mark if you don't know what you're doing or you give up. All right, you guys just want me to work through this one? I feel like that's probably our safest path forward. All right, so a 10% rate of return is what we're desiring here. So we need to know what the net income is to calculate the value that we should hold on the property, right? So the IRV method, income equals rate times value, is going to be used here. So we can figure the income and divide it by the rate to get the value that we should pay. So income divided by rate equals value. So we want value, we already have rate, and now we're going to calculate income, and it's net income, not gross income, which is why we're given the operating expenses. So first, you've got 12 apartments, right? There's 4 on each floor. 400 for the first floor, 450 for the second floor, 500 for the third floor, right? Now, if you add up all of those, it's 1,600, 1,800, and 2,000, right? 1,600 for the first floor plus 1,800 for the second floor plus 2,000 for the third floor. Oops, that's not the right answer. 1,600, it's 5,400. Okay, so that's a monthly income. Now we need annual income. So we're going to multiply that by 12. So 64,800. So the next thing they say is, hey, the loss ratio is 8%. So you're not actually getting 100% of your rents collected. You got some vacancies. So it's actually minus 8% or times 0.92. So 92% of that income is what you're actually going to make. So now my gross income here is 59,616. So now I've got to subtract out the $610 a month. So 610 times 12 is 7,320, which gives me a total of 52,296 as my net income. That is my net income. So now I have income and I have rate. So I divide income by rate, and that gives me value, which is B. So that's everything that you need to know about IRV, about gross profit, net profit, all of that sort of fun stuff, all inside of one problem. An owner pays $25 per front foot for a lot that is 600 by 1452. What, pray tell, did he pay for the lot? $15,000 is correct. 25 times 600 is 15,000. Pretty straightforward. 600. The leading number is always your front foot. Question number 5. A real property transfer fee of 2 mils on the sale of real estate at a total consideration of 89,500 equals what? Is it A, 1790, B, 179, C, $88.95, or D, $89.50? So this is 89,500 divided by 1,000 times 2. So it's $179. Sorry, guys. Too much going on here tonight. All right, next question. In the sale of 150 by in a sale of a 150 by 110 foot property at $2.50 per square foot, if the broker's commission is 6%, how much does the owner realize in the sale from the transaction? So a three-parter here. Calculate the size of the lot, calculate the cost of the lot, calculate how much the owner is going to take home. All right, it would seem that the D's have it, and that is correct. All right, question number 7. The square footage of a 3-story building is 60 by 53, or the square footage of a 3-story building that is 60 feet by 53 feet is A, 5940, B, 9540, C, 6360, or D, 3180. And don't fall for D on this one. It is a 3-story building. Square footage for a building is the entire square footage for all floors, but not including the basement. So floor 1 is 3180, floor 2 is 3180, and floor 3 is 3180 for a total of 9540. So again, square footage, boom, got it, bang, bang. All of a sudden you're clicking 3180. Not going to be the winner. Question number 8. If a property sells for $289,000 at a cap rate of 9.75%, what should Deborah offer if she wants a cap rate of 10%? So this is IRV method, forwards and backwards, right? So we have value and rate, which is going to give us income. And then we get income, we want to apply a new rate to get a new value. So it's 289,000 times the rate, right? Because income equals rate and value, rate times value. So times the rate 0.0975. So that gives us $28,177.50. Now that's the income. We're going to apply the new rate of 10%. So we're going to divide by 0.1 to get us to 281,775. Question number 9. Joe is purchasing a property at $35 per foot for front foot for a lot of 600 feet by 1,452 feet. How much did he pay for the front foot of the lot? This is a really dumbly worded question. I mean, it should be how much did he pay for the lot? Right? Like it already tells you he's paying per front foot. What he be paying for the whole lot? Question number 10. The subject property is a 3-bedroom ranch with 2 full baths and a 2-car garage in the same neighborhood. A nearly identical home with 4 bedrooms just sold for $110,000. The appraiser estimates the value of the 4th bedroom at $5,000. Based on this information, what is the subject property's value? Is it A, 90,000, B, 115,000, C, 110,000, or D, 105,000? Yeah, it's going to be D, guys. The subject property has 1 fewer bedroom than the other property. So the other property was at 110 with a bonus bedroom. So we're going to take that bedroom away, or we're going to take that $5,000 away, and then that's going to put us in a position $105,000. All right. All righty. Let's jump back in. I want to get you guys a few more questions. I know some of those were a little bit longer and more involved problems. So let's get one. Let's just quickly go through your chat and see what you guys wanted to hit. That could be a smaller one. Property condition and disclosures. This is probably 10 questions. We'll get through about 5 of these. We'll see how quickly we can roll through. All right. Federal regulations require real estate property owners to provide specific disclosure language and forms to purchasers and prospective tenants of single-family housing constructed prior to 1978 regarding the presence of what? Is it A, mold, B, asbestos, C, lead-based paint, or D, radon? Yeah, nailed it. It's lead-based paint. 1978 equals lead-based paint. Question number 2, a property considered undesirable because of an event that has occurred there, such as a suicide, murder, illegal drug manufacturing, or gang-related activity, is classified as A, a stigmatized property, B, a nuisance property, C, an unsaleable property, or D, an uninsurable property. A is correct. That is stigmatized property. It is a stigma. Question number 3, Nick is purchasing a property and asks the real estate agent if the seller has to pay the property tax for the part of the year when the seller owned it. The agent assures Nick that the seller pays for up to and including the day of title transfer. However, how will Nick realize payment for the seller's share of the annual property tax? A, buyer receives a check at closing. B, it will be a credit to the seller. C, the check goes to the auditor. Or D, it will be a credit to the buyer. All right. So Nick is purchasing a property and asks the real estate agent if the seller has to pay property taxes for the part of the year. The agent assures Nick that the seller pays up to and including the day of title transfer. How will Nick realize payment for the seller's share of the annual property taxes? And it looks like the D's have it here, and that is correct. So it'll show up when you purchase. You're going to look at a closing disclosure form. You're going to see, taxes. 170 days at X rate for this amount. Well, the buyer, doesn't have to pay those taxes. The seller does. So they get calculated, but the seller's not cutting a check. It's just a credit on the closing statement to the buyer for what they'll pay in the future. Question number 4, all of the following may be places where asbestos could be found in a single family home that is 50 years old, except A, exterior siding, shingles, or roofing, B, vinyl flooring material installed when the home was built, C, insulation sprayed around the pipes, or D, recently pressure treated lumber constructing the deck. Yeah, D is going to be your winner there. No asbestos in those things, as it's not allowed in building materials anymore, and not going to show up in pressure treated lumber. A property owner is involved in litigation which could result in a judgment affecting title to their property. Because of the time delay between filing a lawsuit and rendering of a final judgment, what action could be taken to protect a claimant's interest? Is it A, record a notice of lis pendens, B, secure a writ of execution, C, have the property owner execute a waiver of liens, or D, have a clerk of courts enter a confession of judgment? The A's have it, and the A's are correct. All right. In order to ensure the prospective buyer is provided with the information concerning structural, mechanical, and other property conditions so that they can be informed of decisions, licensees representing sellers should A, complete the property condition disclosure form on behalf of the sellers and provide it to the buyers. B, require that only buyers represented by buyer's agents be shown the property. C, have the seller complete the form accurately and honestly. Or D, insist that the sellers have the property inspected by qualified professionals. Yeah, guys, C is going to be yours. Do not fill out the property disclosure for your clients. Question number 7, which document is required by RESPA to illustrate the costs of closing in a real estate transaction? A, a loan estimate, B, a closing statement, C, a disclosure of APR, or D, an appraisal? Yep, B, it is your closing statement or closing disclosure documents. Question number 8, all of the following are true regarding National Flood Insurance Program, except A, if a property is located in a special flood hazard area, federally related loans require flood insurance. B, unless by the lender as a condition of the mortgage loan, coverage is not effective until 30 days after purchase of the policy. C, the program covers loss and damage to personal property caused by discharge or overflow of water from a plumbing, heating, or air conditioning system. Or D, is administered by FEMA, the Federal Emergency Management Act. Which one of these is not true? Not true. Okay, you guys are saying B, so we'll go with B. It's actually C. So the flood insurance doesn't cover plumbing, overflow, HVAC issues, anything caused by that. Flood insurance is for floodplains and properties in flood zones. So that is the case. Question number 9, controls on the development of areas designated as wetlands have become subject to recent regulations because A, wetlands are recognized as a natural resource, B, mosquitoes and other disease-carrying insects breed in them, C, local governments have primary responsibility, or D, they're a major source of flooding. A is correct. All right, the term red flags used in reference to property conditions refers to visual signs or indications of defects of a structure. B, any mechanical component near the end of its economic life. C, any offsite issues that have a negative impact on the property value. Or D, a latent defect is not discovered by an ordinary inspection. And yes, I think you guys are all dropping A's in the chat. Boom, that is correct. Visual signs and indications of defects in the structure, like a bowing wall in a basement, which you guys will get very familiar with as you do your walkthroughs and inspections. All right, gang, that is going to do it for tonight. Sorry